everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So I'm here to do day 31, reflect on Junk Journal January, and just kind of recap what got done. So I definitely took a little bit of a dip at the end of Junk Journal January, which is totally unlike me. This is the first time I have not completed a YouTube challenge. But you know something, I'm glad that I allowed myself the grace to say, you have a full-time job, 2 children, and a lot of responsibilities. So it's totally okay. Also, I think there's benefits in having these kind of inspirations that kind of get your motor going, right? And then once it's up and running and you have all these things going on in your head, it's okay to say it's time to jump on to this new project, which I've done. And it's still compelling, right? It's still propelling me into a direction of growth creatively. So I'm really happy I participated. Definitely want to say thank you to Make Journals for hosting this again and giving us these prompts. I had a lot of fun with the prompts that I did. And, you know, I don't think I have too much to be sad about because I got from one. I know I skipped. There was one day that I didn't get done. And it was this one, which on my copy says Get Messy Art Journal. But I think everybody else's said like opposite. And I did the opposite. I didn't do a video. So I got all the way to peeking out. And then from there, I kind of dropped off, except I did lyrics. And now I'm doing today. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days I missed. However, look at what we made during this time. Like, can you even believe how much ephemera that is? It's wild, right? So let's count real quick. 1, 2, 3. Oh gosh, I should have done this ahead of time. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Hold on. I'm not going to make you do this. Okay, make your guesses now, guys. Would you believe this is 130 tags? Tell me what your guess was. I'm really interested. Okay, let's do a reflect on what we made. A quickie flip through. Okay, so I started with resolutions. I don't think that I actually I don't know, I did do tags for resolutions. Okay, resolutions. I remember talking about that. Hold on, I'm going to actually pull you in closer so you can see the tag details. One sec. Okay, so day 1 is resolutions. And I think in resolutions, I used random things and I talked about sort of like my feeling on resolutions for the year. And this is what we made for that first day. And it was all about using things up. Then we move on to quote. So there's more powerful spells were written. We used word snippets. The gaslight illumined until it glowed and the words stood out with startling clearness, and then hung at her coffin's head, and then took a mental photograph to live in his heart forever. Then a crooked mile against a crooked style, a crooked cat, a crooked mouse, and they all lived crooked. This was throwback. Okay, so this was day 2. Day 2, this was quote. Okay. So then throwback, I used these old gold boxes of playing cards because it's like a throwback to being a kid with my grandma and playing cards with her. And then also these were part of throwback because they're I think vintage patterns. This is another one I made from the card boxes. Another with card boxes. These 2 were also the card boxes because they had those little holes in them. And then another one. All the gold is so nice. Another one. And another one. And one last one. I think that's the end. Yeah, that's the end. Okay. So yeah, we made a lot on that day. Okay. I might do another video of this, sped up a little more. I'll see. Then we had Tuck Spot on day 4. So I did that one and this one, and it's missing its little tuck. There it goes. And then this one and this one. Yeah, so we had 4 for that day. This little tuck, that tuck, this little apple tucks in here. Oh, I'm so happy with these, just looking at them. Like, they're just going to be such great ephemera to have in my box. Then we moved on to Daily Log, which was a calendar I used for that one. This one was a ledger. More ledger. I was just thinking about the different ways that in our life we log things, right? Ledgers and calendars. So that was Daily Log. Some very vintagey feeling fun things, some nature. So we did a lot that day. Then the next one is memory, and my memories were expressed through the use of children's clothing from my daughter, from her clothes that she's grown out of. Yeah, that's memory. And I like the bright colors. I really like how this day turned out. That's why I was sad to miss the fabric day, because fabric is my jam. I love making fabric tags, like even this one. So this was stitched. So that's the first one, and I did some slow, stitching, or hand stitching rather, on these, and I used the little miniature cabinet cards to make them a little more interesting, and those were the 3 that I made for that. And then we moved on to neutral. So these I started out with like neutral collage boards and tried to select neutral kind of things to add to them. And then was this, let me see. I think I made a lot for this day. I just have to, yeah, I did. Okay, hold on. So yeah, there's those 2, this one and this one. I used a children's storybook to do these. I remember getting my focal points for these. They started out very neutral and then they ended up a little more colorful, but like neutral tones were my basis for making these. Then we moved on to foliage, and I used some of my own foraged leaves in the background of all of my little characters and dolls that are all part of digital kits that I have on Etsy. And so it was a nice way to use up a bunch of my foliage that I have in the studio. I made quite a few that day. So that's foliage. Okay, and then we moved on to layered, and this was the day that I chose to use my new dolls, and I used some wool and some flowers and some beautiful paper and word snippets, and the focal point is all my chestnut doll collection from my Etsy shop. Did some stitching, and I just like how these turned out a lot too. I think that they're really fun. They're like, I think it was Mary Ellen from Red Parrot said they're like a tag cabinet card, and she's totally right. Like, it's that feel. So yeah, those were fun. Then we moved on to Eclectic, and lots of what I do is eclectic anyways. So I used children's book and scraps and some word snippets and things for this, and they turned out quite fun. This one was also eclectic. Yeah, I think that's all eclectic, because the next one is torn edges. Did one of this maybe, no, these aren't torn edges, I don't think. This is all eclectic. It's hard to remember what you've done, like, as you're going. Oh, I know. Torn edges was these guys. So it's torn up little pieces of paper and these little flying pigs and kind of their own little pigsty inside these trapped little bags. I ended up using things from this plastic bag and then little things that I just pulled out of my scraps and crumpled up. So that was torn edges. Then we moved on to garden. And these are the ones that I did for garden. Used some beautiful handmade paper and used some Richard Scarry to create these little tuck spots. So these are all little removable journal cards and they're backed. So they're just so cute and I'm happy with those. That might be one of my favorite projects that I did through that whole time. The next one was pattern, and I chose to use punches to create these patterned tags just with scraps on like a coffee dyed sort of patterned paper that had like graph paper, lined paper on it. And then we moved on to flow because I skipped a day, I think. And this was the day that I used a children's book. I flowed through the whole children's book to create all of these tags to use up the entire book, and just kind of showed you how you can make use of one of those big books in your book collection. You know, you probably got it for all these beautiful images and you couldn't, you know, make a journal with it maybe, and you were struggling to figure out how to use it. So it answered to that. It allowed you to flow through your whole book. And I think this was one of the days where we made the most out of what we made. Yeah, because I think is that all? This one is, what did we have next? Whimsical, flow, whimsical borders. I don't know if some of these were whimsical, but yeah, it was all from the same book. Then borders interactive. Okay, so actually I think, am I still on? Okay, so the next ones I made were these. These were probably whimsical. Or texture. I feel like texture was one that we missed somewhere. Borders interactive. Okay, no, I don't think they got out of order. Maybe they did get out of order. No, I didn't do texture because it was afterward. So these must be whimsical. Yeah, these are whimsical. So I used this patterned kind of packaging paper and created, yeah, it's got to be whimsical, and created these. So see the texture there? And these are some of my dolls. This is from a children's book. It says, "May the garland of friendship be evergreen." And then this was from a really fun fishes book. And I used this paper, like when I was painting it, I had this left over and created these little holes to make it more whimsical, essentially. And I like how this day turned out. It took me a minute to remember what we did, but I do remember being disappointed in this paint because it wasn't color changing. And now that I look back at it, it still isn't. It is not color shifting, so it lied to me. But I still love the tag. I think it turned out fun. Then we moved on to borders, and I made these. So that day I used a few different prints that I've had for some time, and I used this fun, like barnboard looking paper to create like wooden borders around it, like a picture frame. Then we moved on to nature, I think. Nope. Interactive, I'm sorry, interactive. And that was this pop-up tag that I made. So it's got like, you know, like it has the background, middle ground, foreground, and then kind of like, you know, the front is even more kind of foreground, right? So you can really play with that. And the back is writing space. So it's a fun and simple pop-up interactive tag. Check that one out if you're looking for, you know, a way to make a pop-up that's easy peasy. Then we went into peeking out. No, we went into nature. Sorry. So nature, let's see. I remember I went through another book. It was called Fox Eyes. And there once was a spy, a red fox, who came to spy on the opossums. There were 5 of them, and they were supposed to be asleep. The Moon Shines in the Night, Forest Magician. So this all came out of the Fox Eyes book. This one has one of my chestnut dolls. That night the opossums didn't play possum. So there's lots of nature in that book. It's like a children's kind of nature-y book. And then we moved on to Peeking Out. And these are my little mice. And I grabbed like an old Ontario furniture book and cut out, large images to kind of make it a little scalable and put these little mice in all the drawers and things so they would all be peeking out. And then the last day that I finished was I skipped a few days. Yeah, that's right. And then I did lyrics, and I chose to use music paper as my way of using lyrics in the background, and made these 4 fun collaged vintagey kind of tags. So that was my whole of Junk Journal January, and I have to say I'm very, very pleased with all of this beautiful work. Like, look at this. Look how much work this is. This would take so long. Like, this is what I say a lot of the time when we give ourselves the time to focus on something like, Junk Journal January, where you're focusing on something. And also, I think choosing a certain project to do again and again and again, like the 100-day project, right? It gives you like a way to become better at one kind of thing. And I think I love making tags, so I chose tags. I think that they're just really easy to apply to a lot of different projects. Like, you can use them in so many ways. You can use them as a greeting. They can go on a gift. They can certainly go in journals. But like, they're just so useful, and they're a really nice substrate for your art. Like, let me put my art on something, right? So you can really get complicated or keep it very simple. But 130 pieces is a lot of work, and sometimes it's nice to just give yourself a little bit of that time. Like, I can estimate I might have gotten to 150 to 200 pieces if I had done the entire thing, missing those, this last, most of this last week. But yeah, I'm really happy with what I did. So I was maybe beating myself up for like not finishing a YouTube like collaboration, but like, at the end of the day, I think everybody who was involved in this from a creator perspective was only actually doing one of the days. For those of us who were like chugging along every day, and there were so many of you that I was watching your channels, if we subscribe to one another. It was so nice watching everybody doing the same kind of themes. It's very cozy. Like, I feel like we're kind of all hanging out. And I also just want to say, like, thank you so much. I think Junk Journal January, just like, I felt so awash in the most lovely things that you all say, and it is so nice to talk to you in the comments and to hear little bits of what you're doing and things about your family, and things that about that I'm doing, or a book that you recognized, or an artist that you recognized. Like, I really enjoy that interaction, so thank you for that. And also just thank you for all of the new subscribers who've come along. You guys are really great, and I hope I can keep you interested. I do try to keep it fresh. I try to keep doing interesting things. I have some things that are planned for the future that I think you're really going to enjoy. If you like ephemera making videos and tutorials and things like that, definitely stick around, because I'm always like awash in creative ideas, like almost too much, that I feel like my brain's just going to leave my body and start its own thing. So yeah, I don't have creative block very often. I'm kind of like plagued with the opposite. Like, I have too much going on in my head that I get flummoxed at times, but I do okay, right? I get it out. We get things done. So thank you for sticking with me through Junk Journal January. I'm sorry I wasn't here every day, but like, hopefully when I wasn't here, you could check out one of my other videos, or you could check out one of the many awesome creators who were taking part in this challenge, because there's so many. So until next time, thank you again. I will talk to you. Take good care of yourself. Bye for now.